we are going to do pointers and functions. We just concluded pointers and arrays. So we are going to look at two major concepts in this class. The first one is what? Call by reference. And then the second one is pointer functions. So call by reference is where you are able to manipulate a scope from another scope. I've actually taught you this before, but I'm going to use this pointer class just to demonstrate one example. And then let's say you have two kids and they have two lockers, right? And inside these their lockers are fruit. Now they meet their housemaster and then they give the housemaster the key to their lockers and say, can you help us swap the fruit so that when we go back, whatever it is that was in this one will now be in this other side. So let's write a program to demonstrate that, right, in C. So the first thing I will do is the first concept is calling a function by reference. The next class I'll teach you function pointers, where you can actually store the address of a function in a pointer and then call that function dynamically. So first one is, I would say, include stdio.h, and I'm going to declare my function, and it's going to be a void function. So it's just going to perform a task. It's not going to return anything. So I'll say void. Then I'll call it swap to swap, right? Now this swap function is expecting two parameters. So the first one is int a and then int b. So I'm going to initialize, I'm going to define this function. I've declared it, I will define it. So to define it, inside this function, I will say temp. So if the keys give their key, respective keys to the housemaster, the housemaster goes there, he will have a temporary basket that he will use to empty one of the locker and then move the item from this locker to this other locker and then move from the basket to the other locker, right? So that basket is what you call temp. So I'm going to say int temp, and then I will move what is in A, right, to this temp. So A. Then I will move what is in B to A. So A, assign B. Then I will move what is in temp to the C. So B, assign temp, right? So this is the function. Now I've created the function. Now I'm going to create my main function, where I will carry out the activity. So I will say int main, my main function. Now inside this main function, I will declare two variables and I will assign values to them. So int x, I will assign 5 to it. Then I will say int y, I will assign 10 to it. Right? Now, before I call this my function, I will do print out, printf, before swap, right? X equals to %d, comma, y equals to %d slash n. Then we'll close this. Then we'll supply x and we'll supply y. Then we call this swap. So we are going to call swap. So this is my function. Now, these are pointers. So these pointers are expecting what? Address of. So here I will say address of x and address of y. So I have called my function at this point. So the moment I do this here, control will come here. Then here I will say printf after swap. After swap, x equals to %d, y equals to %d slash n x y, right? Then I'll say return 0. So I'll close this. All right, so this is my program. Now let's explain. So I'm using a pointer I'm calling a function by reference. That's what I'm doing here. I'm calling a function by reference here. So the first thing I do is I create the function. So through this function, I'm going to manipulate whatever is inside this main function, right? So guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Once anybody can gain access to your heart, then they can manipulate the soul. So this is the soul, this is the heart. So I am now giving values to this heart to work on. But the heart is going to work directly on what is inside the soul. So at this point now, I declare two variables, int x, assign 5 to it. So I have this. This is x. This is y. Now, here I have 5 and here I have 10. Now, before swap, x equals to 5 and y equals to what? 10. Then I call the swap function, supplying the what? Address of x. So if address of x is 100, address of y is 200, right? So I'm supplying it to this place. So this one becomes int pointer a assign address of x. Why this one is pointer b assign address of what? Y. So that is what is going to happen here. So the moment so 100 will be supplied to this, and so you now have pointer a. Let's use red. So 100 is here. Then pointer b, 200 is here, right? Then you come in and you create another variable, which is temp. So you now have temp. So this is temp. And then you have to assign the value that is in A into what? Temp. And this is A. So A is referencing this address. So if you dereference it, the value is 5. So you are asked to put that 5 in temp. So temp becomes 5. Right? And then you are asked to dereference B. When you dereference B, what you will get, when you get to this address 200 and you dereference it, what you will see is 10. So you are asked to take that 10 and put it in A. So A, which is X now, becomes 10. And then you are asked to take what was in temp and then put it in Y. So this place will become 5. So that is what you've done. Then once that is performed, so this task is done and it gets to this curly bracket, it will return back to the calling function. So at this point, to now print out printf after swap, s is what? So this place, s now is 10 and y is now equals to what? 5. So in this place, x was 5 and y was what? 10. So you've swapped. So what happens here is you are able to use a function to manipulate the content of another variable in another scope, because you are doing what? Call by reference. You are calling this function by reference. So that's what I want to show you in this class as what? Pointers and functions. So let's go to code blocks. Let me run this script for you to see. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Okay, so this is our swap function. So this is called by reference, right? Pointers and functions. So this is the example we did on the board. So this is the script. So we created our swap function, and then in the main function, we are calling the swap function. So we declare two variables. Before calling the swap function, we printed out their values, and then we now call the swap function and then print out the values again to see how it has swapped. So let's execute this program for you to see. So you see, before swapping, x equals to 5, y equals to 10. After swapping, x equals to 10, y equals to 5. So that is what I want you to see in this class. So to see in the next class. Bye-bye.